Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Pet Connection podcast, where every third Wednesday we celebrate our furry, feathery, and scaly friends. So welcome, everyone. It is time for another episode here on the Pet Connection. And you know, it is Adopt a Dog Month. And we're excited because Angela brought a wonderful guest on the show. She's here. She's got a little bit of a voice issue, but not really that we can tell too much because you've been busy at Helen Woodward Animal Center, haven't you, Angela?
Oh, always. I mean, our favorite partners. We just love going over there. And then yesterday, I did a dog event, and I was talking to so many dogs and their humans, but dogs primarily and their humans, that actually my throat is sort of, and telling them all about trusted house sitters, how there was so many rescues, but it was a great event. But yeah, I mean, Helen Woodward is one of my favorite places in the world to go to.
It is a special nonprofit based in San Diego County. Nancy and I have a history of working with them way back in the late 90s before we opened the magazine. So it'd be 95, 96 or so, where we helped with some fundraising initiatives in regards to creating a coloring book and Nancy donating art that was used to raise funds. Very excited because we have Michael Makie joining us. And Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure to join you.
Well, Michael, can you give us a little bit of a background on Helen Woodward Animal Center? It's been a while, like I said, but everyone, I encourage you to go to their website, animalcenter.org, and also go to trustedhousesitters.com. And that's how we know Angela. If you've listened to the show before, we've known Angela for over 5 years now on our pet sitting journey through Trusted House Sitters. And one of the main things I have to say that's so great about Trusted House Sitters is, of course, it connects humans together, those who love to travel, but also are huge animal lovers. And we get to pet sit and take care of animals across the country. Some do it around the world like Angela does. And especially if it's an adopted pet, it's really great for them to have a human companion and help that ease. We've done that with many pets as we've traveled this country, and it just makes them feel okay. As rescue, some animals come from some really rough backgrounds. And so it's just been a wonderful, way of taking care of babies that give you so much joy. And they're all babies to me. So Michael, you've got to be surrounded by babies every day at Helen Woodward, with all that you've done over the years.
We are. We have on site at any given point, we have over 100 animals, ones that are ready to go out for adoption immediately, ones that are in the part of being either, a little too young. Because when we bring animals in, before we get them ready to get adopted out into the living homes, we make sure all their medical is in line. They have all their vaccinations. They are spayed and neutered. They are tip top, ready to go, ready to run and sprint into their forever homes. So we have some that are available for adoption, but then there's other ones that are around that aren't quite old enough just yet to go to their forever home. So I agree with you. They're always babies. I always, look at them even when I see adult dogs out, and I always say, hey, look, how old's your buddy? How old's your puppy? And they'll be like, oh, well, he's like 7. And it's like, well, all dogs are puppies, no matter what. Puppies are puppies. But all dogs are always puppies, no matter whether they're 3 months or 15 years. They're all puppies. So I can agree with you when you say that they're babies.
They are, and so are the kittens. They're kittens. They're always kittens, even if they're elders looking at you. Like I've got one koozie looking at me right now, going, "I'm the queen. I am not a kitty." And I'm going, "Yes, you are," because you still meow at me. And so Helen Woodward really works with dogs and cats, and there's also an equine component to this. So how did Helen Woodward Animal Center get started?
Yes, we have an equine area and we have a ton. So let me go back, and start. So in the late 60s, early 70s, Helen Woodward herself was a huge animal advocate. She loved animals, loved everything about them, wanted to care and create everything. She reached out to her friend who was the head of the ASPCA at the time and said, hey, I want to get something started out here on the West Coast for caring for animals. So in 1972, the center launched. Helen had two main pillars that she wanted to focus on. The first one was adoptions, getting cats and dogs mainly into forever homes, getting them out of areas where they may be impacted, they may not be cared for as well, getting them into a nice facility, treating them, caring for them, getting them back up into tip top shape, and then out into forever homes. The second pillar was education. So the big push she had is we have to teach the next generations how to properly care for animals, because you can't make sure all animals are cared for moving forward and everyone is given a safe and caring home if they don't know how to do it. Humane
Mhm.
education was her next biggest one, and we've recently opened a new humane education building within the past about 6 months focused on that. We've always had education here for 50 years, but due to some great charity from some local donors and some input, we have a great new big education facility. But like you said, we also have the horse aspect. So we have a state of the art equine hospital, one of the few in the area outside the racetrack. So for some listening that may not know exactly where we are, Del Mar racetrack, which, halfway up the 5 freeway from San Diego, is as a bird flies about a mile and a half from us. So where that is, you go directly inward and we are right there. But we have a state of the art equine hospital, one of the few in the area that people come in and they bring their prize horses and their family horses to be cared and treated. We also have some horses on hand here at the center that are therapy animals. So not only do we do adoptions, not only do we do education, but we also have therapy animals, both dogs, cats, and also horses that people can come and say you have, somebody with a little bit of challenges or some mental abilities that, they would like to stimulate or grow. They can ride horses and they can do homesteading. So it's not just they get on a horse, they ride, and it does treatment and makes them feel better. That is only one small component. The other big component is homesteading. So giving activities, giving challenges to stimulate the mind and make them think about it. So giving them a list of items that are necessities for horse care, and then also giving them a budget and being like, how do you plan this out? How do you create this to make sure that your horse is well cared for? That's just one of the many plans that our therapy does. We also have therapy dogs that go to places, or people can come here and they can interact with animals, because animal interaction is one of the most important things, the most beneficial things for health. Is You've seen and heard it. People just interact with animals, they feel better.
I'm just going to say that right now you're ticking off a lot of boxes on the holidays of October, right? So I'm just going to say this. This is like, and listen, you can listen to this episode anytime. And now it's ending up on our Women Making History podcast, because I've got to say, I think Helen Woodward has definitely made history, and it's about celebrating women of the past, the present, and the future. And so I bet there's a lot of little girls out there. We were all horse girls. I know Angela was a horse girl too, and we're still girls when we talk about horses. And I know there's boys too, but I'm just saying. But I think she's probably inspired all of us, male or female, to care for animals when you go to Helen Woodward and get involved. So I see her as her work being long living forever, with what she's done. So this is on our Women Making History podcast now too, because she's helping people, care for animals in the future. But I'm not kidding about you ticking off all these boxes in regards to holidays and awareness months for October. It's Adopt a Shelter Month. Okay, excuse me, Adopt a Shelter Dog Month. So we know that we
I
want
mean,
to
you
do
can you can
that.
you can adopt a shelter. You can come
Oh,
donate your
yeah.
time or funds or what. If you want to go that route, you can adopt us.
Oh, okay, there it is, everyone. Get that checkbook out, or just, put the credit card forward. It's also Emotional Wellness Month. And I think you're really right that animals, as soon as it's part of that calming thing, and stress starts to get high during, like, as we start to head into the holiday season. People are back to work after summer vacations. It's just kind of like this. We're in that tweener zone of where it can start to get a little bit like stressed. And I know that as soon as you are petting an animal, that you start to calm down. And there's and like you're saying, the therapy dogs and therapy cats, therapy horses, that is bringing emotional wellness, I believe. So you're doing that, which is good. Let's see, what else have we got here? There's more. I'm serious. There's more. Okay, hold on. Also, hold on, I'm getting there.
I'll interrupt you one
No,
more.
this is a big one. This is a big one. It's National Pet Wellness Month. So that's something that you're teaching there too. So can families volunteer and through that learn more as well on the education component
So we have,
of
yeah,
pet care?
we take volunteers all over in different areas of the center, and they can sign up, kind of share some of their interests, and they can get placed in different departments or different resources that need a little bit of extra hand. And yeah, you can learn about the pet wellness. So we have two state-of-the-art facilities on hand that handle animals, outside the equine. So three actually, if you count the equine one, but one of them is our public veterinary office that is open to the public. You can bring your own personal pet. Then we have another one that is strictly for all the animals that we bring in. And it's not just about, one of the things we teach and educate adopters on and volunteers and kids and everybody is, it's not just, making sure your pet's healthy on the books. It's wellness. Like you said, there's a big difference that some people may not know between the word healthy and wellness. You could be healthy, but you may not have good wellness, and you could have good wellness, but you may not be
Mhm.
healthy. And it's all about the mental state, and that's where wellness fits in. And pet wellness, making sure your pet, is exercised, not just for their physical well-being, but also known that they're loved, they're cared for, they get out there, they can release that energy. They're creatures just like us. I'm sure you guys, after going for a run or a bike ride or, some motion or activity, as compared to sitting in a desk, or sitting at a desk in an office or inside. And I love the rain, but some of those rainy days, I feel a lot better when I get outside and start moving around more. And that's the overall of wellness.
Mhm. Also, just if an animal's gone through something negative in their earlier years, to help them feel trust. And I think wellness is also about that human pet connection. Haha, had to put the podcast name in there. But that connection. So wellness is about emotional wellness for your pet that we don't know. Maybe, the dog has gone through a puppy mill or something. I know California is really good on their laws on for pets, and I don't think you're even allowed to have pet stores with animals in them, right? Anymore, which is good. But the
They're
rest of the country's getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're working with it. So here in California, you're no longer allowed to sell puppies and kitties in stores directly, like, how I used to see in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s, so I remember that. How I used to be able to go into a mall and you'd see puppies, sitting in a window display at a pet store at a mall. You can't do that anymore. You can still, in some places, get reptiles, you can get birds, you can get smaller animals of that sort, fish, but they are actually working. There's legislation working. And West Hollywood, the city of West Hollywood, is the first one in the nation, actually. First one in California, first one in the nation to ban live pet sales of any type inside their city limits. So we're working towards making sure that animals aren't just sold willy-nilly. And that's one thing that we do. And we partner with rescues and places all across the nation. So based here in California, we live in a little bit of bubble here in California, when it comes to animal wellness and caring about animals. They're looked at a little bit differently. I'm sure you guys have been in a store somewhere, and I know Angela definitely has. We go into a store and you go, how many dogs did I just count in Target? I know I went a couple
Mhm.
weeks ago and I made it down one aisle and I counted 9 different dogs. Now I petted 9 different dogs, but I counted 9 different dogs in the Target store. Not everywhere in the country does that. We partner with organizations and rescues in some of those places where animals aren't looked at as fondly. So we make sure we get them out of areas where they're looked at like they're, secondary. They looked at like they're an object as opposed to a living creature with emotions and feelings and thoughts and all that sort of stuff. And we partner, we get them out here. We also take from areas where there's not as high of a population and not as great of an income bracket sometimes, an economic bracket, so they can't afford to have as many pets and care for them the same way we can. So by getting them out here, you give these pets a bigger opportunity to get into a loving, caring home. And that's the overall goal, is you want a pet to, and the pet doesn't have to stay here. You can have somebody in California and they can decide to move. They take the pet with them. So it's not just about getting all the pets in California strictly, but getting them access to those loving, caring homes. And I know my guy, I got him when I lived in Texas, and now he's a California dog. So pets can move around. That's the fun part. They can go with you anywhere you go. And a lot of times they just want to go where you go.
Well, we're in Texas right now, so say hi to your dog for us.
Well,
Because we're in Texas and we're surrounded by cats, and a whole feral cat community that has been taken care of. Thank you to wonderful programs here. And the lady that we're sitting for has taken care of cleaning up what has happened with cats in her neighborhood. All of them spayed and neutered. She's caught them, brought them in. And if they've had kittens, she's found them forever homes. I mean, she's just like this. And she goes, I'm not an animal person. I'm like, what? Excuse me? And she goes, no, but if anything comes here, I'm going to feed them. No one comes to my house without getting fed. So we feed them every day, every morning, every night. And she has all the elders are surrounded and then ones that were kittens and didn't get it home. They live here. And in the evenings, they share the backyard with raccoons, fox, and possum, and they all get along. And I'm not joking. And at night, when it's winter, she gives them all heated beds outside. So there you go. And she tells me she's not an animal person. Are you kidding me?
Now that show would get me subscribing on Netflix. If we put that together, I would subscribe to that.
Well, this is how the pet sick goes. She's in England right now, in London, and she's sending me video footage from the critter cam. Cause and we buy them fruit, we buy them chicken, we make them chicken. Now it's like a whole show. The backyard could be a Netflix. It could. Because the possum, I think, is pregnant. She's had the mama possum last year, and I think it's happening again. And we got the raccoon who sits on his haunches like a little baby bear and eats with both his hands. And it's just, and to watch raccoons anyway, it's really cool, but most people would be freaked out, but they all get along. And that's this beautiful thing. Once you start that caring, that open heart, it's like, wow. And they bring so much joy. It is also World Animal Month, everybody. It is also Squirrel Awareness Month. And squirrel awareness means your dogs get to have TV outdoors. They love squirrels.
I know my dog's well aware that it's Squirrel Awareness Month.
Always squirrel.
We have one in the neighborhood that likes to climb the tree out in front of my thing, and I have caught many a time where my dog's staring out the window, and I go over and I look, and this squirrel's on the tree about 10 yards from the window, and they're locked in a eye contact battle that you want nothing to do with it. So Max is well aware of squirrels this month.
That's funny. I want to go to something on a kind of a serious topic. It is Pitbull Awareness Month. And this is such a mixed bag of a conversation because I know so many people get pit bulls for the wrong reason. And then a lot of people are scared of pit bulls. Yet I always remember them as being like the family dog. And when they're raised correctly and with love is what I mean by correctly, and some training, positive training, they are the sweetest dogs, very, very loyal, but they've also been used in a negative way over the years. And so some shelters don't take pit bulls, which I get-ish. But where are we on that? Pit bulls. Do you accept pit bulls in, or is that a scary thing, or is it a no-no? Where are we in the world of these sweet babies when they're raised right?
I think we're finally starting to see a switch in the world when it comes to pit bulls. And what people forget is pit bull is a breed, but pit bull is is an offset breed, but it's a terrier. It's a type of terrier. So you have these big beefy dogs that people, when they think of a pit bull, you also have the little furry guys, and those are a terrier, and it's the same way. Those are related, and those are linked, and those are cousins. So it's all about nurturing over nature. Everybody's seen a scary pit bull. Everybody's seen a scary German Shepherd. Everybody's seen a scary Chihuahua. No, you're not scared of a Chihuahua as much. My friend has 2 Chihuahuas, so that's why I always make that joke for him. Chihuahuas you're not as scared of because, they're smaller. Pit bulls have that little bit of that more negative connotation because where we've seen them in media, where we've seen them with certain people that have used them in certain areas and industries, but they're a terrier mix, which terriers aren't that. Aren't a negative breed. It's how they're treated. And anybody has the possibility, any animal has a possibility to be negative. Any human has the possibility to be negative when put in the wrong circumstances. But you are seeing a shift, I believe, in society to where they're turning more back to, hey, these are family-loving dogs. I got to tell you guys, one of the ways you'll 100% be so disassociated with the scary thought of a pit bull is just happened a couple of weeks ago. I was out and I saw at the dog park. Now, every part of this dog was pit bull, except for its ears, its fur, and the coloring. You looked at this and you went, this looks like a pit bull, except it was white and furry. It had these long, like furry collie-like ears, like almost like a spaniel, and it looked like your child took different parts of a dog and put it together to make up their ideal dog. But the main set was a pit bull, and I just started laughing because this was the most adorable looking dog, and it just sat there, had a big old grin. That's what people, they don't see that part of a pit bull, is they see the smile. And some people may look at it and go, "Oh, this looks like the Joker smile from, the Dark Knight movies." But in reality, it's the most loving, comforting thing because they are so expressive with their emotion more than some other animals just physically on their face. And when a pit bull is in love with you and smiling and caring. And so it's all nurturing over nature. They are still animals. They are still dogs. They still trace back to that wild coyote root, but I guarantee you they will cuddle up in a little blanket on a bed if you let them and if you care for them. So you're seeing that shift, I truly believe. And I'm sure you guys have great interactions with pit bulls, right? I'm sure you guys have great stories.
Yeah, Angela, for
Oh
you?
yeah, I mean, and thanks, Mac. And I think today it's all about education. It's all about awareness, and it's all about anybody sort of, if they're looking and they're thinking, go out and find the information. And that's what I admire so much about Helen Woodward. Their whole ethos is about education and community and bringing. It's so holistic. It's nothing is one thing. It's a whole. And in the UK, we have the same thing. There are these attitudes towards some of these breeds. I mean, Staffies as well, Staffordshire Terriers, they get exactly the same rap. But it's not just those. I mean, if you look at Rottweilers, you look at all of them. That concept that these dogs, but they're not. I mean, like you say, it's about nurture. It's about how you bring them up. But I mean, for anybody listening, you think about this, it's not just animals, it's children, it's humans, it's everything else. It's how we bring them together and how we raise them and how we educate them and how we sort of find all the solutions for the bad things. But I think also, um, don't listen to everything you hear on social media. That's one of the things that I really get very passionate about. Listen to the good, but whatever you hear on there, but absolutely. But like with Helen Woodward, as I say, it's about community, it's about education, it's about creating that awareness so that people make the right choices, but not just the right choices for humans, the right choices for our animals, because they don't have that opportunity that we do. They can't make those choices and they don't have a voice. We have to make sure that we give them the right voice and we make the right choice.
Mm.
Exactly. You want to hear the fun? Here's your fun one real quick. So here in America, one of the big negative connotations you have towards pit bulls may stem from what we heard years ago. Michael Vick, the dog fighting he was using pit bulls. Well, those pit bulls are terriers. Toto's a terrier from Wizard of Oz. Not everybody loves little Toto, so you're telling me Toto could be as bad as a
And Toto had to take out the bad witch.
See, there we go.
Oh, listen, we're celebrating Halloween now. Now we're getting
Toto was a
really
hero.
good. We got all the holidays covered on this show, man. Well, one thing I think what's so great, and I know we were doing a show on pet sitter education last month, which was Pet Sitter Education Month. I didn't even know that. And Angela and I talked about people that want to get into pet sitting, love animals, but may not have even had them in their life as much, or different kinds. And we were both talking about the power of becoming a volunteer. And maybe that's a way even before you adopt, right? Is maybe go to a place like Helen Woodward Animal Center, and everyone again, animalcenter.org. I'm going to say this 100 times. It's all linked in the episode notes, but I'm going to say it again. Animalcenter.org. When you go there, I think if you can volunteer and maybe even foster before you own, it may take away that fear and you start to understand that it really is about love, period. At the end of the day, love and care. It is, a living being. So yes, you must feed and water and clean poo and whatever, but that's the same things you would with your own family members and friends and loved ones. And this is welcoming someone into your home and into your life as part of your family. But would you say volunteering would be a good step to get to understand animals and behavior and that kind of thing?
Most definitely. And Lisa, you even said the most key magic word there, which is fostering. So
Yeah.
even as critically important, and Angela knows this herself too, even as critically important as adopting is fostering. So fostering is a form of volunteering in a way. You're volunteering your time, you're volunteering your space in your house, you're volunteering your efforts to care for an animal. So one of the best ways, sign up to volunteer, come in and, care for some animals, work the front desk, see people that are adopting, work in some cages. We have volunteers that come in that walk pets. We have a little route here at the center, and you'll have people come in and they just walk the pets back and forth. And I see some once or twice a week. I see some every day. And it's just a great way to start. But then you move up to, once you go, oh, I see how animals interact. I get my hands and my mind wrapped around a little bit. Try fostering because that's one of the biggest things. So a little bit of math. I know, no, we're talking about animals loving pets here, but let's do a little bit of math. One of the biggest things that fostering does is it opens up a space. So
Mhm.
here at the center, we have a designated number of on-site spaces that we can bring animals into. But if we don't have that space, we can't bring an animal in. But fostering exponentially grows that number of spaces because that's somebody's home where you can put in another animal or two. Typically, if they're a little bit older, it's usually only one animal. But when they're younger and they're siblings, they're litter mates. We have one lady, then her husband, a couple months ago, that we had 9 siblings plus the mom, and they fostered all 9 little blue heeler puppies siblings and the mom that we rescued from the fires up in LA that happened just about a year ago, and they did all that. Well, that's 10 spaces that would have been taken up here that weren't taken up. So that allows us to bring in 10 other animals. So in addition to, it helping out the center, it's also a great way just to learn about animals because you can foster, a blue heeler for a couple weeks and be like, oh, well, these guys are really energetic. These guys have a lot of, they have a large attention span. And you go, well, maybe that doesn't fit with me. Then you foster some Chihuahua puppies. You go, oh, these guys are really cute. They're really quaint. But then they have this that you may not interact with. Then you can get a little bit bigger dog. Then you can go to a husky. So that's one of the best things about fostering is you're not only helping out a dog on its journey to its forever home, but people jive with different types and different breeds. I have shepherds. I love all dogs. I love all animals. I will pet every dog, like I said in Target. But
Me too.
I have a shepherd and I match really well with that personality. I match really well with pit bull personalities. I match very well with lab personalities. But you start to feel connections, or maybe one of those mama dogs that you look after, strikes a chord in your heart, and from then on you're like, I'm a spaniel person, or I'm trying to name different dog breeds here. Angela, you want to help me out?
I'm just
There's so
sitting
many.
here listening, going, I love everyone you're mentioning. I'm like, well, how can you not be? How could you not be? How could you not be? They're all, and then you get the mixes, right? The mixed breeds. And I think that's when the whole mutt concept, I just want to go, I think we're all mutts in this world, humans. Like we've all got, that's why we love doing our family history. It's one of the top hobbies in the world is researching our family history to find out about all the different places we come from, where our people come from all over the world. And that's how we should look at mutts. Mixed breeds are fine. I mean, can we give a big shout out to the mutts because they're cute and they have different personalities from their different breeds. Are we
You know
allowed to
what?
do that?
The thing is, Lisa, I like the word blend. I love that word
Well,
blend.
thank you, since we are a big blend radio. I don't like the word mutt because it sounds like you're going to eat a lamb. But anyway.
Well, mutt too has a negative connotation. So Angela's right. Blend is a lot better.
Blend is, but the other thing that Mac, you're talking about fostering, the other part, the other side of that too is that there are those rescue pets and rescue dogs, dogs especially, who really don't do well in kennels. And it's not because there's anything wrong with them. It's because they just they don't do well. We don't know what they've gone through in the past. And so when they go into a loving home, at that home of a foster carer, they actually then bloom and they become the dog that they are. And that will make them far more adoptable than if they're in the kennel. And I mean, Helen Woodward and all rescues do amazing things, with their guests, because I don't like to call them, they're guests there. But there are just some of those that don't do well. So getting them into that fostering environment is giving them a step up the ladder to actually being able to then be the dog that they really are and get into their forever homes.
I agree completely. And you see a pet inside of a space here, and they are a different breed. You get them outside, and we have some that are calm and very cool natured. All of our pets are calm and cool natured, but you get some that just kind of lackadaisical. It looks like in their crate, and you're like, oh, these guys are really chill. And then you get them out, and they're sprinting up and down the parking lot, and you're like, well, this did a 180. It's just you get them outside, and their breeds come out and explode and are just great. Here's another fun part. You look at the health of to go back to the mutt blend mix. Mutt has a negative connotation, so I do agree with Angela, I like the blend. But
Hmm.
when you get a purebred, and I grew up with a purebred pet, you get issues that are within those lines and lineages. But if you get a mutt, you get it's like Hannah Montana. You get the best of both worlds. I like to say you get all the good traits. You get
I
all the good. I use that
I
so
could
much.
go forever on that metaphor right there.
You
But
get the best of all traits, though. You get all the good personalities, all the good things that show up with all the pets put together. Because it's one of the weirdest things is when you get those blends, all the good personalities shine through. So these ones are great with kids. These ones are great with this. So it's the best way to take it.
this. What I do want to ask you is when people come to Helen Woodward and they've got like, okay, we are coming to adopt a dog, a cat. What happens in that process where, or if I'm going to be Angela, process. Getting my brain just did it. I didn't know what was going to come out of my mouth there for a second. I always start feeling like I'm back in England when I talk to Angela and other countries I lived in. So I always go, whoa. But what happens with that? You know, how does it all work to know is this the right match? And what do I do when I get home? It's kind of like you can read all the, parenting books and then you have the child and it's like you get the baby home and I didn't do this, but apparently reality sets in very quickly when you bring your firstborn home. So what happened? I'm not saying anyone's giving birth to a dog or a cat, but how do you work with the new adoptive parents or foster parents?
So there's people here at the center that are well trained and well versed and everything, and you go through. So the first one, let's act like you're a completely brand new pet parent adoptee. So the first thing we always recommend is go online and take a look, because we have all different types, and it's oh, this is a bad analogy, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's not like a car dealership where it's like, oh, well, we know we're going to have this car in line. You never know what you're going to have. We had a trend for a little bit where we had a lot of Australian Shepherd mixes for this was about 3 months ago. There was about a 2 month stretch where it was all of them were Australian Shepherd blends of sort. Now I haven't seen one for a couple weeks. So if you are looking for a particular type of dog, which is okay, or a certain blend, go on the website, take a look, and see if any of them attract your eye. Now the false set with that is all of them are going to attract your eye, especially when you go over to the kitty page and you see all the adorable little faces looking at you. But take a look at them, see if any of them catch your eye. From there, come on in. We'll have the opportunity to walk through and take a look at some of the animals in their cages, see them in their flesh and bone. Because I know if I were to show you a photo of my guy, he's a big old 80-90 pound shepherd. But a number of times people see a photo and they go, "Oh, he's so nice. What is he, like 40 pounds?" I go, "Yeah, double that." They sometimes don't always look the same in a photo, but they all look cute in person. So you'll come in, take a look, and then from there you can sign up to meet 3 different ones at 3 different times in one day. And everybody has their own personality, or every pet has their own personality. Every pet has their own style. I'm sure that there's people that we've met in the world that you're like, oh, these are great people to interact with, but they may not make the closest friends. And then we all have those super close friends that you just click with, and that's just the intrinsic nature of nature itself. So you'll meet with some of these pets and you'll interact, you'll get to learn about them and see, hey, they work well with this, we like this, they fell in love with us quickly. Then you go up and you talk to our adoption center employees, and they will go over everything about kind of what to expect. Like you were saying, like, well, that they're going to do this, or they're going to do this, or they're going to do this, and they're going to have this type of personality. And it's like you said, the bringing your newborn home, and it immediately sets in. They'll go over what to expect. They'll go over the fears that other people have had. That they themselves. 99.9% of the people here at the center have a pet of their own. And that missing 0.1% is they're in a transition period where, their beloved buddy has gone over the rainbow bridge. So they're just waiting for the next opportunity to grab one of them. But they're all pet lovers, so they can all tell you their experiences. Or you'll bump into somebody like me or Angela's walking through, and we'll say, hey, this is the experience we've had. This is the type that we had. Because everybody's had all different types of pets. And there are some personality traits and quirks with certain breeds that will carry through. So you can be like, hey, I've had a dog. Anytime I run into somebody with a Shepherd or a Doberman, because that's one of my guys in mix up, I go, hey, I've had this interaction, I've had this, because they all have similar through lines in some things, but they're all different. But we'll walk you through the scary sights and sounds. And I know it's October, so there are different scary sights and sounds, but we'll walk you through that and kind of give you that calming approach to it. And then the same with fostering too is this is what to expect. This is what to look for. This is all the possibilities, and make that decision if you're okay with that. And
Right.
everybody is okay with that goes home adopting a pet. They know what's the possibility, and they want to take on that challenge of that loving family member. And that's the biggest and best thing that we push is make sure that you're ready, because these are family members. They're not objects.
Well, as we get towards the holiday season, I really wanted to touch on this about looking at adopting versus, the whole other way, right? Um, and I think it would be a good journey for families to go to a place like Helen Woodward Animal Center and do this as a very conscious family, thing. I don't even say project, because an animal's not a project. It's like, hey, let's increase our family,
It's a
and
bond. It's a bond. It's a bond. I
yeah,
like it. It's a bond.
it is. And so kind of, gift giving yes, there's, here's your diamond ring or whatever it is. Not around here, but, but it's, here's your different things, but it's this, people are gearing more towards experience, and what better experience than something that is centered around love and care, And so when you look at the holiday season this year, is doing it consciously as a family, that everybody's on board, and that everyone goes to Helen Woodward and adopts, instead of all the other ways that animals end up at people's homes, and maybe not doing it as a conscious way. And then, January comes around and no one's taking care of, the kitten or the dog, or, so I think it's got to be something where the whole family is on board. Or maybe someone's like, I'm not going to be all, but later will ungruff themselves through that care and love. But, the holidays to me is a very important thing. And also to, don't adopt, a new family member, then have raging parties where they don't know what's going on. If you have other animals at home, you've got to have that process of not, World War III could happen. Animals are territorial. So there's that process that has to happen, even homecoming. So any tips out there regarding the holidays in regards to maybe adopting versus purchase, and in general, just because we are national and global in audience, um, adopting may be a way to go, and then also being prepared for the holidays. And, we don't need to have a loud cocktail party when you just came home with a puppy,
No, 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 100% no. If you are a very big social person like that, do understand that there is a little bit of some growing time to get your puppy socialized with people. You want to socialize them, but you don't just want to start out, in a big, party of 200 people or something. Like I don't know how many people have parties with 200 people. But a
I'll
big
go.
party.
I'll go, and I'll go take care of your puppy, but still give me a cocktail. I'll go in
Yeah.
the back room with your dog.
Oh, that's where you can find me at all the parties. They're like, "Where'd he disappear?" They're like, "You have a dog? Yeah, he's probably chilling with your dog." But
Yep.
if you have a party of sorts with people over there, make sure you take a little bit of time to get your puppy associated, get them, because it's new to you to have this animal, but you got to remember it's new to them everything. So the new environments, the new sounds, the new smells, maybe the new food that you put your puppy on, or adult dog, you got to get them comfortable. You got to get them understanding. And one of the things that we say too is, you know, don't purchase a pet as a gift for somebody. The only time, and the only little loophole I've found in that, the only time you purchase a pet as a gift is, like you said, the family thing. So mom or dad who are fully 100% on board with taking the responsibility, because I'm not a parent, but I know how I was as a kid compared to my parents, and I'm going to draw a little bit of experience there. But a parent adopting a pet and giving it to a child as a gift is the only time I think that's acceptable, because you never want to surprise or spring a pet on somebody that's not expecting it. That's not great for them, and that's not great for the pet. Because, like you said, you need to make sure if these guys are taken care of, that these guys are looked after the holiday season, after the what do they call in a relationship, a honeymoon period. After the honeymoon period is worn off of having the pet around, you still want and need them to be taken care of. So the only time like I said, as I see it, is, the parents getting together and going, hey, we know that we're probably going to end up doing half this work, if not all of it. We can get the kids a pet. That's the only time. And you want to adopt, don't shop. That's always that little nice slogan, because the adopting ones, you're making sure you're putting them in a loving forever home. And some people have some, quirks about it and go, well, there's this or this, or I need this. One of the biggest ones is you see that people are allergic to certain, types of dog breeds and everything, or just dogs in general. Well, here's the fun thing. People go, well, I need a doodle because it's hypoallergenic. We had doodles here a couple weeks ago. You can find a pet in a rescue center, and if you
Mhm.
want one, you may have to wait a little bit. But also, if you're going, well, I need to get a dog this weekend, maybe that's not the best time to be rushing into getting a pet if I need to get one this weekend. But if you're okay waiting a little time, we have a hypoallergenic guy. He's not a doodle, but he's a smaller guy, and he's, hypoallergenic. So there are different avenues, there are different things to adopt pets and get those, even if you're allergic. I think we've had a hairless cat before, and I think those are hypo. Angela, do you know anything about those? Lisa, do you know? I don't know if cats are hypoallergenic. I think I'm just taking a stab in the dark, but there are hypoallergenic cats.
Yeah. Well, I think, but this really gets to being conscious of what you think is going to work in your family, and so it doesn't arrive on Christmas Day. That, if this is something you all agree on, it's like sometimes you go on a, vacation on a different kind of date than you think. That's kind of about growing up in a way, I think. Just personally, I think we have to shift our perspective when it comes to animals, because they're living beings. And so, you'll always have little surprises, and cats leave surprises in the middle of the night too, and you wake up and walk through it. Thank you, fur balls. But you get used to it. You learn about it, and it pet parenting is the most beautiful thing. It really is. It's second than human parenting, I suppose. But I've never human parented, but I've definitely pet parented a ton, and it's the most beautiful thing to do. I think also what's so great about Helen Woodward is that you seem to be very active in education programs, but also events that put humans and animals together so that they can start to learn. It's like, maybe don't pull the dog's tail, so there's kind of things where that interaction is kind of guided, it looks like, from your website.
Yeah, so that is part of the fun. I want to make one little statement too. Is you said the pet parent compared to the human parent. I don't know. My parents raised us, and if I go over to their house now and I don't bring the dog with me, they're a little more disappointed. It's like, I'm just your child, but all right, cool. If I don't bring my dog, glad I'll come in the door.
That's part of the grandparenting thing too, man. I'm
Yep,
telling
my
you.
my mom goes, she loves her grand doggies, but yeah, I come through the door and she goes, "My 2 favorite people," and she's like, "I don't hear the tick, tick, tick of, Max." I go, "He's not here." She goes, "Oh, well, hi," and I'm like, "Yeah, cool, love you too, mom." But going to the back to the treating
See?
them, we have our education, and that's part of it. So you have therapy animals to where they'll teach people about the how to care for an animal and how to best interact around them. But then with our humane education programs throughout the year, one of the courses is going over how to treat any animal, and we use dogs for that because dogs are usually the easiest and most well tempered. But we have a couple therapy dogs and on site and a couple instruction dogs through, people that, work here, that those are part of their pets or they're part of the therapy program or both. And they'll go over, hey, pet them on the head, start there. Don't pull their tail. Don't poke at them. Don't prod them. Don't pet too hard. Don't put hands in your mouth. Don't put things that, can rattle the pup. And one of the biggest questions I see them ask is, well, would you like any of that? I mean, one kid did answer, I would like my tail pulled. He didn't have a tail. He wanted to say, if I had a tail, I'd like my tail pulled. But
Pin
That's
the
a whole different
pin
thing.
the tail on the child.
I watched. Yeah, kids say the darndest things. Am I right? But
Yes.
what if that the instructor was like, "Well, would you like to be poked in the eye? You have eyes like a dog." And he goes, "Well, no." And she goes, "Would you like your ears pulled?" He goes, "Well, no." She goes, "Well, then let's focus on the things that you do have similar to the dog." But you're right. They don't like all that stuff, and you teach the pets, you teach the people how to care for the pets and what they don't like, and it transfers across all animals.
I
I
Yeah.
love it.
mean, I just love this program, and Mac, I want to thank you as well. But and there's something I want to touch on as well, because of our partnership with Trusted House Sitters. We are partnered with Helen Woodward to support the incredible work that they do with adoptions, with community, with keeping pets in the community with their owners and or their pet parents, and finding, helping those animals live their very, very, very best lives, and in turn, the human members of those family live their best lives. When Trusted Houses is when we started to talk with Helen Woodward, the one thing that I'm really passionate about as far as Trusted House Sitters and partnering with organizations like Helen Woodward is that we have something that actually can help in facilitating adoptions and also helping those prospective adoptive pet parents make the right decision. And that is, you adopt her, but you bring this furry friend, cat, dog, horse, whatever it is, into your family, and it's part of your family. So what happens when you have to go away? And I'm not just talking about vacations. I'm talking about those moments where something happens that you need to leave home urgently, or you need to go somewhere, or grandparents want to go and see a new grandbaby, but you can't take that adopted child that's got fur on it in your home with you. So what do you do? And you can't put them back, and you don't want to put them back into a boarding environment, even though there are some amazing boarding facilities. We know that, but they can't because, they're now used to being in their own homes. They've connected with their home, and that's where they want to be. So with Trusted House Sitters, we know that, at the point of use, there is no cost to the pet parent. The membership, it is a membership, an annual membership, but the most important thing is that when that adoptive pet parent needs to leave, they know that they've got an option, a pet care option, that they can keep that pet at home and have that total peace of mind that when they go away, that nothing in that pet's life changes. And so sometimes, not sometimes, but shelters will do their due diligence. They will talk to those prospective adoptive parents, and go through everything. And then there is that point. Well, this is okay, but what happens when we need to go away? Well, there is a solution. And that's something that I'm really, really passionate about. And I know I've worked with Matt and Mac, and we've worked together on this, and we know that that is an option, and it's something that everybody should think about, but also know that there's a solution to it.
Well,
I love it.
I think you said it beautifully, and I want to touch on that because I have that scenario that Angela went over. So I have my dog, and he's a great dog. He's an amazing one, but he's not a daycare type dog. He loves people, he loves other animals, but daycare settings just doesn't work for him. And but then I see my brother's dog, who you can drop Benji off on a corner and he's going to make a friend. He's a great dog, so he's okay going in those care facilities. So something like this helps allow people. It affords them that other alternative choice, like Angela said. It offers them open ability, or it offers them choices. And that's the biggest part, is when you're adopting a pet, there's numerous different hurdles you have to get over to get the pet, both physically and mentally, to make sure that it's the best setting for you and for them. And this may be one of those hurdles that people just go, well, what do I do if I can't, if I have to leave all of a sudden? And not everybody has the type of connection and network base or the trust with,
Hmm.
people. Like, I have friends that I leave my dog with my brother all the time. I have friends that I wouldn't leave Max in the same room with them. And the base of people that work with Trusted House Sitter that I've gotten to interact with, that I've gotten to meet, they're all animal people, and that's the biggest part is they all care for animals. So it offers up this opportunity and this availability and this resource that just helps you clear one of those other hurdles to adopting a pet. And that's the long goal of everything, is to getting pets into loving homes. And however you can get over any obstacle to get there is the most critical part. And that's the amazing thing about Trusted House Sitters, is they get you over any of those hurdles.
Yeah. And
And you don't have to stop at one either. When you know there's a solution, you can go back and get another one. I mean,
I mean,
well, yeah,
we
because
do have
all animals need companions. This is the
I
truth.
agree.
This is the truth. Cats, listen, y'all out there who think that cats could just be left alone over a weekend, that is not true. I'm here to tell you, as a pet sitter of numerous cats, yes, they want you there. You know why? Because they can tell you what to do. They would like the TV turned on at a certain time. By the way, Koozie the cat here loves Antique Roadshow, and she would like that on by 7 o'clock. Thank you much. She does not like the news. She thinks everyone on the news is a bunch of idiots, but she does think the Antique Roadshow is spot on. Whether we do the British or the American version, she doesn't care. She wants Antique Roadshow at a specific time. She would also like snacks at certain times. So when you're gone, and she's a solo cat on the inside, right? If no one is here, she loses that part of that connectivity. Yet she does spend a lot of time on her own, normally snoring, but she's really going to come out and get me now. But animals want a companion a lot of times. She's not necessarily more companion-like. I don't think at her age now she would really want one, but I know a lot of dogs that need that companion for during the day when pet parents are typically working or doing things. So that companion part is really, really important. And we've also, through doing all these pet sits over the years, learned if one pet has passed on, the other one is grieving, and part of getting things to move forward in a more happier way is to bring a new baby into the mix, and that takes a little time. But the results are much happier, and everyone's happier. Doesn't mean we've forgotten the one who has passed on whatsoever, but it does help ease the pain. Let's put it that way. And you've got another forever home, and so everyone's happy. I say,
Well, they're pets are social creatures, like you said, and I have the perfect story for that. So I have my dog and I have my brother's dog. Well, I work here at the animal center, and there's days where I'm interacting, with, maybe 2 or 3 different pets, depending on the day. Some days I'm behind my desk a little bit more. But then there's other days where, I have, 6 different puppies in my lap. I have a couple different kitties. I have a horse. We have goats and sheep and all that stuff too. I come through the
oh,
door.
really?
Yeah,
Ooh,
we have our humane education ambassadors. I can follow up on that. But I come through the door of my house, and I smell like all these different animals, and my dog just goes, yeah, it's just daddy. Just smells like different animals. But if I walk in the door smelling like his best friend, which is my brother's dog, he will smell me, stop, take a step back, and stare at me. The same way your cat's probably staring at you right now with the knife in their hand, slowly sharpening it. He is mad because he's like, "Why do you smell like my best
jealous.
friend, and I didn't get to see my best friend?"
Yeah.
So it's just proof that they are social creatures, and they like that. He doesn't care if I smell like a random animal. He's like, yeah, it's dad. He smells like random animals all the time. Like he
If you
knows.
go in smelling like a goat too many times, you may get peed on. I'm just saying.
He does have an interest when I come home smelling like the sheep. I interacted with the sheep last week.
Oh, is it the sheep?
And
Oh,
well, the goats are. I just know. I recently last week I came home smelling like the sheep, and he was looking at me like, "Where did you
yeah.
even find this? Like, where?
We
What hole have you been crawling in, Dad?"
You're going to get rolled on. Yeah, no, it's funny because animals are, I mean, they're just the best. They're the best. We love it. Yeah, in closing, tell everyone about the farm animals, because if you've got goats and sheep, I want to come hang out with them. And then everyone again, animalcenter.org. I just got to keep saying that.
Well, we would love to have you out here, and we can give you a tour and show you all the great stuff here on the campus and all the different facilities. So we have our humane education program. It's part of that. So we have animal ambassadors. So we don't just have dogs and kitties part of the adoptions. We do have some animal ambassador dog and cats, but we have all different types of animals. So we have, I'm just going to go through as best I can. We have, beetles and bugs. We have different types of reptiles, snakes, frogs. We have some hissing cockroaches, which are always fun to put in an adult's hand. You think the kids would be scared of them? No, there's adults that are way more scared of them. It's way more entertaining. But then we have some birds, we have some guinea pigs, we have some rabbits. Then you go outside to the barn type animals, the farm type animals, and we have some chickens. We have 3 different goats, and we just recently this is the soft launch introduction of our newest animal ambassador. He is a little baby doll Harlequin sheep called Chewy.
Oh,
His
oh,
name is Chewbacca, but it's shortened to Chewy mainly because Chewy is the name they wanted to give him because he he highlights as an ASMR content creator. His sounds when he chews are some of the most interesting and just unique little sounds. So you walk by his cage and they're so loud and you just hear him or you hear him and you're just like, that's interesting. So I joked that he's an ASMR content creator.
that's funny.
I recorded some of it and I was showing to some of the people around here and people were like, that's very soothing. Like I like that. So it's another great part is these kids get to come in for camps or educational opportunities and they get to see animals that they don't necessarily get to see. Oh, I completely forgot. We have 2 mini horses too and a donkey.
Oh, yes, gotta have a
Yeah.
donkey.
They're all educational tools, and that's the best part is it shows different types of animals, different types of ways to care for them in different levels, because you never know when someone's like, "Hey, I wanna specialize in reptiles," or, "I wanna specialize in amphibians," or, someone
Mhm.
does wanna go and work on a farm or a homestead and work with some of those more unique animals like that.
I wonder how many people or kids come out of there wanting to go in the world of animal care, having those experiences too. I think that's also part of how education has this huge ripple effect that you never know everything about. One child goes through and becomes a veterinarian or a vet tech or maybe in horse care, you never know how far this kind of amazing thing is, but you do know it runs deep and far and wide, which is awesome. And I know, Angela, I know you go there to support, especially with Trusted House Sitters. Everyone, trustedhousesitters.com is the website. But I also know that, Angela, I bet that you do take a little turn around from the dogs and cats, which I know you love, but go towards the horses there. So hopefully, Mac, I thought you were Michael and I know you're Michael, but then I realized it's Mac your last name is not Makey, it's Mackey, right? I've got my own language. Okay. But,
You're all good. Yeah, my name's Michael Makie,
Mackey,
but it comes off Makie. There's no C, so I always like to joke. My uncle is in the fashion designer. I'm not an Avenger or battling Eminem in 8 Mile like the actor. But yeah, no, I go by Mac because it does come off Make because there's a ton of Michaels. There's 4 here in my building alone. But so I go by Mac which is my last name. But you can call me really anything, Lisa.
So I think we might have to do a part 2 here with about the equine section of Helen Woodward, because I also know you're so close to, Rancho Santa Fe, Poway, such a huge Ramona, such a huge equestrian. I mean, the whole of San Diego is equestrian more than people would think, beyond the racetrack. But Angela, do you go over to the equine section? Because I know you're a horse girl like me. Like you want
Oh,
to see those horses. I just want to smell like when you get up to a nuzzle, like when they do that horse breathing through their nose and I don't know, I can't explain it. I
oh.
sound weird.
Yep.
Well, first of all, Lisa, thank you for the girl. That goes a long way with me. Yeah, a horse girl. So no, I do. And because I've also volunteered with Riding for the Disabled, and that charity. I mean, it's magical, absolutely magical when you see somebody get on the back of a horse that actually has limited mobility off a horse, but then sits up there. It is, yeah. But the whole center is, to me, is just it's magic. I mean, I go over there. It's not just the buildings. It's not just everything. It's people that are there. I love everybody that's there. I go over there as much as I can. They probably go, oh no, here she is again, because I just drop in without making an appointment. I just come in there and I just see
She needs
everybody.
her fix.
I do.
Angela, my favorite thing is that my office is close to the front door because then when I hear you come in and say hi to the front desk person, I'm like, Angela's here. Like
Yeah.
I get to hear, I don't get told, I get to hear your voice and it gets me excited.
Oh,
See?
thanks, Jack. But you know what? one last thing, and I know we've gone on, we do need to do a part two, but the state of the art education center, I went in there and I implore everybody to go over there, go over and see this magical place in Rancho Santa Fe. But this center, I went in and every room is themed. And there is one magical room where on the ceiling, there is the constellations in the sky, the stars that
Mm.
actually have been recreated from the moment that Helen Woodward actually founded the center. The artist that did it, I spoke to her because Barry, who I work closely with there as well, introduced me. It took her 4 months of research to replicate this, and it's on the ceiling. And that's how much this place, this oasis means to the people that are there and everything. And the animals there are so well cared for. But yeah, I mean, I'm just so proud that we are partnered with the Helen Woodward. Absolutely so proud of it, and just love them. And probably I'm going over there. I'm due there very soon again. And it's never ever ever a chore for me to go over there.
Mm. I bet. I bet. And, it's been so many years since we've been there. So now we need to get our butts to San Diego and do that. But, out of this whole conversation, and thinking about Helen Woodward herself, I mean, it really comes full circle about how that bond and connection between pet and pet parent or volunteer or foster parent, just anybody who cares, how it goes both ways. And I think that was part of what she wanted in her legacy, was to show people how animals heal humans too and can help humans, and how humans can help animals. Just, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So glad you could join us, Mac. Thank you so much. Thank you, Angela, for setting this up. Everyone, trustedhousesitters.com, and also go to animalcenter.org. The links are in the episode notes. We're here every third Wednesday, so stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you, Mac.
Thank you for having me on here. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Angela.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Pet Connection podcast. New episodes air every third Wednesday. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com and learn more about the world of pet sitting at trustedhousesitters.com.